Page 10, page 11, page 12, page 13, page 14. Senator Joel Thomas, can you please move for the adoption of the program for proceedings? And you are most welcome.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Joel Thomas. I represent the good people of Delta South Natural District. Mr. President, I move that the votes and proceedings of the 10th day of October 2024 are the true reflections of the proceedings of that day. I so move. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Musa Miedoki, also welcome. Can you second the motion, please?
Senate President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Garba Musa Maidoki. I stand to second the motion to adopt the proceedings of Thursday, 10th October 2024. I so second. Thank you.
Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The votes and proceeding of Thursday, 10th day October 2024 is hereby adopted. Announcement. The President of the Senate National Assembly, Abuja. This is announcement by ad hoc committee on abandoned federal government projects. Request for list of abandoned important federal government projects in your senatorial zones. The ad hoc committee on abandoned important federal government projects hereby remind distinguished senators who are here to submit the list of abandoned important federal government projects in their senatorial districts to do so on or before Tuesday, 29th day of October 2024. The list should be forwarded to the Article Committee Secretariat, room SB42, Senate Wing, at the basement, White House, in hard and soft copies. Senator Ashiru Oyelola, Chairman. Announcement. Conference Committee on North Central Development Commission. Senator Kakashi Ulawan, Borno Central Chairman, SAN, sorry. Senator Mohammed Endus Imuntari, Katsina State Member. Senator Suleiman Umar Sadiq, Kwara North Member. Senator Ani Antonio Okori, Ebonyi South Member. Senator Akintunde Yunus Abiodun, Oyo Central Member. Senator Jonah Williams Etang, Cross River Central Member. Clerk Special Duties is a clerk to the committee. Conference Committee on Maritime University, Okere Nkoko. Senator Bamidele Michael Opemi, Ekiti Central Senate Leader Chairman. Senator Jibrin Isa, Kogi East Member. Senator Yaradu Abdulaziz Musa, Kazana Central Member. Senator Jewel Onowako Thomas, Delta State Member. Senator Johanna Amos Kumai, Adamawa North Member. Sorry, Reverend, sorry, that was not taken care here. Senator Osita Ungu, Enugu West Member. The clerk shall be the clerk of Rules and Business Committee. Leader of the Senate.
Your Excellency, Mr. Senate President, the first business of the day is presentation
Point of order, Senator Kau Sumela Abrahaman.
My dear distinguished and respected colleagues, I am Suleiman Abrahaman Kau Smaila, representing Kano South Senatorial District from Kano. Mr. President, I am coming under Order 42, personal explanation. It reads, by the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation, although there will be no question before the Senate, but no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise upon the explanation. The terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in detail to the President of the Senate when his leave to make it is sought, which I presented the...
Yes, Senator Kau Sumela came forward to tell me that he has a matter of personal explanation in respect to the ordeal that our national team, our national football team, the Green Eagles, went
out to a contingent of the Nigerians Super Eagles in Libya on Sunday, 13th October 2024. An incident which has been reported in various media platforms across the country. From information available by Nigerian Football Federation's Director of Communication, it was revealed that the delegation departed from the Mala Aminu Kano International Airport, Kano, at 13.8 hours of that fateful day in a chartered aircraft, Balu jet aircraft, ahead of the scheduled long leg of African Cup of Nations qualifier against Libya. I want the Senate to note that upon the arrival in Libya, the pilot commenced the initial approach into Benghazi. However, he was instructed by the control tower not to land in spite of having completed all the required landing papers and formalities before jetting out of Nigeria. Consequently, the aircraft was directed to the Al-Bak International Airport, which lacks the control navigator for landing at such hours, as the said airport is occasionally used annually for Hajj operations. Further, note that in spite of the pilot complaint of shortage of fuel, the aircraft was denied access, and he was told that the directive came from the higher authorities. The action of Libyan authorities and Football Federation did not only endanger the life of the players, but other members of the delegation, which include the Deputy Governor of of Edo State, NFF official, and the couple of parliamentarians and the staff of Nigerian parliament. This ignoble act is conspiracy and antic, intentionally orchestrated to frustrate visiting term in order to weaken their morale and dampen their spirit to the advantage of the host community. I want the Senate to be aware that the Embassy of Nigeria in Tripoli made an arrangement with the authorities in Benghazi to welcome the Nigerian delegation before their arrival, but their application was allegedly and outrightly rejected, as the authority had already concluded the premeditation to prostrate our team ahead of the scheduled match. And we observe that in spite of series of complaints from the Nigerian Football Federation, Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, and the other concerned Nigeria, the Confederation of African Football Cup is yet to make an official announcement, official statement regarding the matter, and also observe that even though our team embarked on this patriotic journey to perform an important national assignment to make the country proud,
Their safety and welfare should be more paramount considering to us a nation. Our concern further is that if this unprecedented hostility and poor attitude exhibited by Libyan authority and football federation is not condemned and checked by the relevant authority, it will spell doom for the growth and development of football and other supporting activities generally in African continent. Mr. President, I am urging the Senate to consider my proposal as prayer that we need to condemn the action of the Libyan authority for this unwarranted hostilities and the unfair treatment meted out to Nigeria Super Eagles. Commend the Federal Ministry of Sport and the NIF and their president, Mala Ibrahim Gusau, for their prompt response and action by facilitating the safe return of our players as they are no longer in the right frame of mind to go ahead with the scheduled match. And also urge the federal government through the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs to bring this ugly development to the attention of Libyan government and the need to exercise restraint as this act or acts has its own negative diplomatic consequences. And finally, urge the federal government to report this and support man-like action of the Libyan authority to the Confederation of African Football CAF with a view to apportioning appropriate section on them in order to foster recurrence in future. Mr. President, this is what I brought. Mr. President, this is what I brought before the Senate as personal explanation as chairman of the Senate Committee on Sport. I so submit, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Kawo Sumaila. This is really something that cannot be said to be fine. I mean, as Africans, we're all brothers. And this kind of treatment being visited onto our players by another sister country, Libya, I think is something that is not really nice, and is not in tandem with the spirit of sportsmanship. Sport is meant to create unity, to create competition, to enhance brotherhood and enhance unification, if you like, of the countries of the continent in terms of continent, in terms of brotherhood and so on and so forth. But to have gone through this route, to go through this kind of way to treat our players, I think is something very bad. But unfortunately, you came through personal explanation, and we have intended it to be so because we don't want diplomatic row. We think it's a mistake that the Libyans should be given a chance to correct and apologize to the Nigerian government. Nigeria is the biggest, is a big brother in Africa. We are always leaders. We lead in terms of diplomacy, in terms of friendship, in terms of everything. I'm sure it's based on this spirit that you decided that this matter should be treated this way, so that we can give the Libyans a chance to apologize for what they've done to our national team. And we call on the ambassador and whoever is concerned, and even the authorities there, to come out and apologize for what they have done to our national team. So I thank you very much, Chairman of the Sports Committee. You've done very well. It's good that you brought up this matter. You shown that you are up and doing in terms of doing your duties as the Chairman of the Sports Committee. Thank you very much. Senate Leader.
and no prayer. Your Excellency, Mr. Senate President, the first business of the day is presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Eshilo Fusoni Wasiu on Nigerian Ports and Harbors Bill 2024, SB 235. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Nigerian Ports and Harbors Bill 2024, SB 235, first reading.
Nigerian Ports and Harbors Bill 2024 SB 235, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, the second business of the day is presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Ahmed Abdul Ningi on the Federal University of Agriculture, Darazo, Bauchi State, Establishment Bill 2024, SB 596.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal University of Agriculture, Darazo, Bauchi State Establishment Bill 2024, SB 596, first reading.
Federal University of Agriculture, Darazo, Bauchi State. Establishment Bill 2024 SB 596, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, the third business of the day is presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Bello Sani Abubakar on the Aliru Dantoro Federal University of Fisheries and Aquatic Studies, Establishment Bill 2024, SB 604. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Aliru Dantoro Federal University of Fisheries and Aquatic Studies Establishment Bill 2024, SB 604, first reading.
Aliru Dantoro Federal University of Fisheries and Aquatic Studies, Establishment Bill 2024 SB 605, first reading taken. The Clerk is the Senate Leader.
Mr. President, the fourth business of the day is presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Buhari Abdul Fattah on the Federal University of Agriculture and Technology, Oke-Ogun, Establishment Bill 2024, SB 605. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal University of Agriculture and Technology, Oke-Ogun, Establishment Bill 2024, SB 605, first reading.
Federal University of Agriculture and Technology, Oke-Ogun, Establishment Bill, SB 605, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
I didn't tell him. Just what he would say. He just, I know.
Mr. President, the fifth business of the day is presentation of bill standing in the name of Senator Nwaboyi Oyeka Peter on the raw materials processing and local production protection bill 2024 SB 606. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Raw Materials Processing and Local Production Protection Bill 2024, SB 606, first reading.
Raw Materials Processing and Local Production Protection Bill 2024, SB 606, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, the sixth business of the day is presentation of bill standing in the name of Senator Jibrin Issa on the Nigerian Import Substitution Bill 2024, SB 607. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Nigerian Import Substitution Bill 2024, SB 607, first reading.
Nigeria Import Substitution Bill 2024, SB 607, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, the first order of the day is the second reading of National Institute for Drug Awareness and Rehabilitation Establishment Bill 2024, SB 449. The distinguished senator will record that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Tuesday, 29 May 2024. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Rufai Sonny Anga to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Rufai Hanga, the Deputy Majority Leader of the Senate. The floor is needed for you to move your motion.
Mr. President, thank you, Mr. President. My esteemed colleagues, I move the motion that I be allowed to move for the second reading of this important bill. So move. Go ahead. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I sincerely thank you for the opportunity to read the debate on this very important bill. The bill was read the first time in these other chambers on Tuesday, 28th May 2024. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the bill seeks to establish a National Institute for Drug Awareness and Rehabilitation. The establishment of the institute is informed by the high record of substance abuse in Nigeria. The bill, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, substance abuse is a significant public health concern that affects individuals, families, and communities worldwide. Nigeria, as Africa's most populous nation, is not exempt from this global epidemic. The country faces numerous challenges in combating substance abuse, but with the right strategies and the public health approach, Nigeria can address these issues and improve the overall well-being of its citizens. Substance abuse, which includes the misuse of alcohol, tobacco, illicit drugs, has severe consequences on individuals and society as a whole. It contributes to the various health problems such as liver diseases, cardiovascular disorders, mental health issues, and even death. Additionally, substance abuse has a profound social and economic impact, straining healthcare systems, reducing productivity, and fueling crime rates. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the objective of this bill is to raise public awareness about the dangers of drug abuse and illicit drug trafficking, conduct research and collect data, develop effective strategies for drug abuse prevention and rehabilitation, promote national efforts aimed at preventing drug abuse and facilitating rehabilitation of drug users, collaborate with the relevant agencies to curb the production, trafficking, and the abuse of illicit drugs, establish and manage rehabilitation centers for the treatment and reintegration of drug users in Nigeria. By providing accurate information about the risks and consequences of substance abuse, individuals can make informed decisions and resist peer pressure. This will also help to strengthen our healthcare infrastructure to ensure accessible and affordable treatment services for those struggling with substance abuse. Mr. President, my esteemed colleagues, I urge you to support the passage of this bill for second reading. Thank you very much. I submit, Mr. President.
We have from here Senator Adam Ashomale. We have 2 minutes. Then Senator Babangida Hussaini, 2 minutes each. You have the floor, Senator Adam Ashomale.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank the mover of this motion, my very good friend. But I have serious concerns, not about the intention. There is no disputing the fact that drug abuse has become a serious national challenge. But I think that in anything we do in this Senate, we must ask the question, without establishing solutions. Earlier in the year, the executive decided to review the much talked about Rosai report, where we found that there are so many agencies with it, whose mandate appear to be in conflict or overlapping. As we speak, Mr. President, sir, we have the NDLA. The sole mandate of NDLA is not only to address and prosecute drug traffickers. It is to deal with the whole gamut of drug abuse, enlighten those involved in drug abuse. They have training institutes. They have all of the things they are supposed to do. My suggestion, Mr. President, and I think the senator who I just left his seat to arrest the president is being unfair. Mr. President, sir. No, I cannot, sir, because I even need to persuade you. I need to persuade you to understand the logic, the basis of my statement. I think what is possible is for us to look at the existing law that has to do with NDLA, whose mandate is captured here substantially, to see whether we need to make amendment to that law if there are certain things that the agency is not able to do because of some gap in the law that established it. But in my opinion, this idea of setting up an agency for every aspect of life, every area in which we have challenges, if we were to do so, we are going to have law against cough, law against all sorts of things, all the problem we have in Nigeria. I feel with profound respect to my dear friend and to my colleague, distinguished senators, let us look at this bill, the actual bill, not this debate, because we're actually debating without blindly, because the law is not before us. Reconcile it with the law establishing the NDLA and see whether or not we just need to strengthen the NDLA or we need a complete new outfit. My worry is that we are spending so much money on overhead. You are going to have directors, you are going to have boards, you are going to have all kinds of buildings, etc., etc. All of that goes into the current expenditure, which add little or no value to the quality of life of Nigerians. I agree we must deal decisively with drug-related issues, but I'm not convinced that we need to establish yet another agencies that will be competing with the NDLA. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Senator Oshomole. Everybody knows you about your stance against the proliferation of agencies. You are in support of the Oresanya report. So once you started, everybody knew where you are going to. So thank you for your contribution. Senator Hussein Babangida.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, sitting as chair. Distinguished colleagues, I stand to identify with the spirit and the intent of this bill. I also share the same position of distinguished Senator Oshimole regarding the proliferation of institutions of governance and the need to curb the cost of governance. I think that is one of the objectives of this administration. However, yesterday I was privileged to attend the National Conversation 3.0, which was essentially dealing with issues of mental health in Nigeria. At the session, I had Senator Iya Abbas and Senator Pharmacy Sadiq. And the conclusion at that session was that what we need to do is to strengthen and deepen the activities of NDLA. Secondly, to incorporate mental health issues into our secondary and tertiary medical health care system. At the same time, we deepen as well and encourage civil society organizations to contribute towards drug education at the family, community, secondary and primary school level. And then we identify champions of drug abuse in all the 774 local governments of Nigeria who will champion the formation and the advocacy regarding the issue of drug abuse. What we are not mindful of right now, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, is the scale of the problem we are facing. Yesterday, we were told, and there are empirical evidences to that effect, that every day new forms of drugs are being imported into Nigeria. And then, to even worsen matters, our youth are now compounding drugs, bringing all manner of chemicals. I was shaken to my marrow, Mr. President, yesterday, when I was told that dried human feces are turned and smoked just to give these our young men a high. I think it is important we really sit down to address this issue. However, I still feel in Kano, for instance, you will recall, Mr. President, you championed the expansion and the creation of Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital in Dawano in Kano. We can look at such institutions, strengthen them, provide adequate funding, get staffing for them, and actually educate our people on the need to patronize them. It is interesting to note that the statistics yesterday said 25% of Nigerians suffer one form of mental health or the other. Meaning that even here, Mr. President, sir, out of the 109 senators that we have, 20, that's the statistics. But that's the statistics. But the truth is, we have serious problem in dealing with the issues of drug abuse in Nigeria, and it is important we face it squarely by deepening and strengthening the institutions that we have on ground without creating new ones. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Leader. You have the floor. Then we have a former leader, and then of course, and Malero. So up to 2 minutes, so that everybody can speak. Decorum before the former. But we have all of them. You're going to speak all. You have. It's your privilege to speak. But no, excuse me. He will speak, then you speak. Uh-huh.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Let me start by thanking the Deputy Minority Whip who moved this very important bill for second reading. So I listened to the comments front and back on the importance of this bill, vis-a-vis the need to be cautious on not repeating what has been in existence. But sir, I want to start from where the last speaker stopped, of the importance of and the effect of drug abuse on the people and the nation at large. Most of the existing laws are more of arresting, taking punitive measures, and they say prevention is better than cure. The intention of this bill, as presented, is on the awareness and prohibition, something that we can emphasize across the board before the action is taken. If the action is taken, any effort you do after that is best after that. This particular bill is seeking to concretize an effort of government on the awareness on various impacts, talking to the people's mind directly. So there's nothing we spend on this kind of thing that is too much, because the effect, the cost of the effect is far too much magnanimous than what we are going to spend to cure it. So we should not bother about the cost. This is very central. It affects the lives of the people, and by implication, it affects every other sector of the economy. Nigeria is growing wide, and people are everywhere. When the population is big, the problem also becomes bigger. So I want to make sure we support this bill, and we now focus on that. It's like the National Orientation Agency. All various agencies should support this bill so that we talk to the mind of our youth and even the elders
Thank you,
who are
leader.
involved on this.
Thank you. Former leader Abdul Lingi.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the recognition. My name is Senator Abdul Lingi, and I do represent Bauchi Central, Bauchi State. Mr. President, for all intent and purposes, a bill at the second reading carries the good, the bad, and the ugly. It is very, very important that this chamber does not become a court of law. This chamber should not look at technicality, no matter how strong, to throw a bill into a dustbin. Mr. President, why are we different from court? When a judge passes a sentence, he doesn't come out to explain the reason why he does it to the people. But when a parliament passes a bill or a motion, as the representative of the people, he now listens to them. He goes to them. Now, when a bill becomes second reading, it is the opinion of that member or members put together. And therefore, to truncate a bill at the second reading for a mere technicality, begin to ask a question of people not actually taking cognizance of what a bill needs to do, what a member goes through to produce a bill. My take on this matter, yes, there are proliferation of agencies. But believe me, sir, if we are going to have 10 agencies in this country that will deal with the problem of drugs, so be it. Drug is the mother of all evil. Without drug, you can't see banditry. Without drugs, you can't see this rampant prostitution. Without drugs, you can see all these vices across this country. The mover is coming from Kano. Mr. President, not only Kano, Most of the city's undoing today is an issue that has to do with drugs. Lastly, Mr. President, before Tony, when you see this bill, you refer it. Why are you referring it to the committee that deals with drugs and narcotics, which also NDLEA is part of it? And they go for public hearing. And it is the duty of that committee, when bringing their report, to make any amendment possible before the Nigerian Senate. And therefore, it is incumbent at every given time to advise senators that please, it is not intellectualism to shoot bill at the second reading because of mere technicality.
Thank you.
It is important that we know it and recognize it. Thank you very much for this attention.
Now, the sponsor of the bill wants to say something. Probably he wants to shed some light that are hidden. You say he wants to say something. So we want to draw our attention to something, or you want to join the debate? What actually do you want to do? Sorry? But it is inside. It is all contained here. It's against the practice. You have laid your case. You have don't worry. Just don't worry. Central Room.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I remain Muhammad Adamu Alero, representing the good people of Kebbi Central. Mr. President, I rise to support this bill, heavily sponsored by our elder, Senator Rufai Hanga, for 2 or 3 reasons. Number one, drug abuse in Nigeria has reached an alarming proportion. In fact, it is being said that in every family, we have drug-related problem in Nigeria. In every family, whether it is from the rich or from the poor. And it is so serious that it deserves to be given appropriate attention. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, as you rightly know, the violent crimes witnessed by Nigeria today, to a large extent, is a result of drug abuse. Even these bandits, before they go and carry arms, they go and take a lot of drugs in order to be intoxicated. Even housewives, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the problem has permeated to that level. So all hands should be on deck to tame this ugly tide. It is wrong to really kill this bill at the second reading. Let's allow it to go for public hearing. We will hear the pros and cons of it.
Thank you.
But various agencies will be invited to come and give their inputs, including the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. It is only then we will be able to know whether they are in a position to adequately tame the tide. And if they need another administrative structure, it is then we will go ahead and create it. So I believe we should allow this bill to go for second reading instead of killing it, like my colleague said, that we should not rely on technicalities. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, so many people want to speak on this bill, so we now yield the floor to everyone, but they want to speak but 1.5 minutes. So this will come back to you. Let me take this to 3 of you. Okay, 1 minute each, because privilege has been given to you as principal officers. 1 minute.
Okay, sir. Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I remain Senator Peter.
But Chief Whip, he has to start. Deputy Whip, he has to start.
Okay, sir.
and then he himself and you. But if you allow him, okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I remain Senator Peter Onyekachonwa Eboye with the golden crown of the people of Eboye North Senatorial Zone. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to support this bill to an extent. What this bill intends to achieve is already the primary duty of NDLEA. And I want to also submit that it is beyond this. You may recall, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, that when we had the opportunity of amending the NDLEA Act, I made a submission which was carried by all and sundry that if actually we want to end drug trafficking in Nigeria, we should make drug trafficking a capital offense. We can't continue to dilly-dally on issues, creating agencies, whereas there are fundamental solutions to it. The solution to it is to make drug abuse or drug trafficking a capital offense. By this, when you nip the problem from the bud, the problem is dead and dead forever. So I wish to let these Nigerians to know that the right thing to do is to make drug abuse a capital offense in Nigeria, as is obtainable in India, South Africa, US. By so doing, if not completely eradicated, it will be minimized to a barest minimum. Thank you.
The Deputy Leader. And thank you for abiding with it by the time. You did well. Thank you.
Mr. President, yesterday night, I had a lot of sleepless nights. I visited my constituency, and the most worrisome thing was the devastating effects, not only of trafficking in drug, but in consumption of this drug. Mr. President, there are so many things we should understand and put into consideration when it comes to issue of drug and narcotic. Drug issue had become a very big economy, very big one among our youthful population. Drug issue had become a very, very serious problem, to the extent that I have a terrible fear for our tomorrow as a nation. Without being economical with truth, more than 70% of our youthful population are into drug consumption. And from my own little discussion in my constituency, I discovered that the issue goes beyond NDLEA. NDLEA had become so compromised, so ineffective, to the extent that leaving drug enforcement or drug education to NDLEA, we will never get where we are going to.
Thank you, Leader. Thank you. You made a point. Chief, you have 1 minute.
Distinguished President, distinguished senators, my name is Samame Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. Mr. President, the issue of drug trafficking and drug consumption has become so endemic and has eaten to the very fabric of society. And it was against this backdrop that there is a need to create the agency as suggested by this bill for the purpose of tackling a problem that has become so endemic and has eaten into the fabric of our society. For example, offenses of fraud, offenses of corruption, and mismanagement are issues that are cognizable by the police. But because it has become so endemic and has eaten deep into the fabric of society, we created ICPC We created EFCC, we created NFIU, and series of other agencies with a view to tackling such a hydra-headed problem that has eaten deep into the fabric of society. So, Mr. President, mutatis mutandis, there is a need for us to equally create this agency as sponsored in this bill to tackle headlong this hydra-headed problem of drug trafficking and drug consumption that has eaten deep into the fabric of society. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Dixon, then Senator Kao Sumela, and then Senator. Okay, well, then we can move to this side and we'll come. That's...
Thank you, Mr. President, my dear colleagues, Henry Siraki Dixon, Bayelsa West. The President, first of all, I commend our colleague, the lead sponsor, for initiating this bill. And I commend you too for the way and manner you have conducted this debate by allowing members, as many members who want to say something on this very important subject matter to do so. And the reason I have stood up is to lend my voice also to this debate. Mr. President and my dear colleagues, as we all know, there is a national crisis.
A minute, please let me remind senators about Order 55-9. When a senator is speaking, no senator may converse aloud or make any noise or disturbance interrupting. Please, can we keep quiet, please? Could you please listen to Senator Dixon?
Thank you, Mr. President and my dear colleagues. As I was saying, our nation, in addition to several other problems, is currently faced with a national crisis of narcotics. We have a narcotic crisis at the family level, at community levels, in our wards and local governments and states all across the length and breadth of this country. And that has also emerged in the course of this conversation. It is on that note that I want to say firstly that I align myself with this bill, but not necessarily leading to the establishment of a body. But I align myself with the suggestions of distinguished Senator Ningi and Senator Alero. Because of the importance of the subject matter, my dear friends, let's not dismiss this bill or abort it at this stage. Let us, at least at this level, agree in general principle that there is need to strengthen the mechanism of enforcement in that sector and pass this bill so that at the committee level, in the presence of all the stakeholders, and in particular the NDLA, the Ministry of Justice, and then the other related agencies, they can now brainstorm and, if possible, rework the proposals as a necessary and appropriate amendment to the existing NDLA bill. That does not nullify the submissions and the guidance offered by Senator Oshomole as to the need to avoid proliferation. But the subject matter we are dealing with is so important. We are losing the future of this country, losing the future of our families.
Thank you.
And it is fueling criminality, it's fueling all forms of crimes and misdemeanors in our country. Finally, I want to use this opportunity to urge all of us in our constituency appropriations and in exercising our appropriation powers to allot, sufficient funds to support the NDLA. I'm not saying that everybody should do what some of us have done. You can even build NDLA offices. I tried to do one in my place. And also carry out drug consultants and outreach programs, enlightenment programs for the young people as part of our own support.
Thank you,
to fight it at the grassroots level. But in all, I am in support of the general principles, and this bill should be passed for second reading so that they can fine-tune it as an appropriate amendment to the NDLA law. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your wisdom in terms of your contribution. Senator Kausmel, you have 1 minute so that everybody those who want to speak can speak. Then After you, Kamaila Sumaila, Sumaila, you speak to give the medical perspective to it, right? But 1 minute, please.
Mr. President, my dear, respected and distinguished honorable colleagues, I am Suleiman Abdurrahman Kau Sumaila, representing Kano South Senatorial District. Mr. President, I think the intent of this bill, the content, and the general consensus of our distinguished senators are in support of anything that will stop drugs-related abuses in Nigeria. Therefore, but Mr. President, there is one aspect which we need to look into. Whether we created this agency, whether we strengthen the activities of NDLA, we need to do something. We, as politicians, we, as leaders in this country, we, as stakeholders, we need to do a lot. We all believe that religiously, both Islam and Christianity, even in our traditional religion, drugs-related abuse or drug abuse is prohibited. But who are encouraging and who are supporting it? Mr. President, we cannot achieve the result. We cannot achieve the intent of this bill unless and until we all agree that we will put our head together with relevant stakeholders to stop drugs abuse in Nigeria. Let us ask ourselves during our campaign, what are we doing with the so-called youth? How many of us can swear with Quran or Bible that in any way they are not supporting drug abusers in their constituency? If we, okay, I am happy if all of us can swear with the Holy Quran that they are not in any way in support of drug abusers or intoxicating youth in their constituency to take drugs for their political. And Mr. President, we need, whether we are allowing this bill to continue to have an agency or we are strengthening LDE, we need to create a situation where before contesting election or before taking appointment at whatever in government level, you must go for drugs test. Finally, Mr. President, now I am speaking, I am here, as I am speaking now, most of our officers in our constituencies, most of our political office in our constituencies, most of our houses, when you go there, you will find out that there is mountain of drugs, and there are drugs dealers in our offices and in our houses or in our houses. I am immune to talk. I am in the chamber of the Senate, and I can take you to some of the political leaders who are in so many ways contributing or supporting drugs abuses in Nigeria. Therefore, Mr. President, we need to be serious. If we are talking, we need to understand we are all 19 here. Nigerians
thank you very much.
Is with us. We must fight it between from our own side, not making law or not talking in the chamber of the Senate. We need to be serious. Let us go through the test and see who and who are not.
but excuse me, please let me draw the attention of Senator. Excuse me.
Yes.
Order, please. Let me
go for the drug test.
Order, please. Order, please.
From me.
Order. Let me draw the attention of my distinguished brother, Senator Kao Sumela, to order 56. Debate upon any motion, bill or amendment shall be relevant to such motion, bill or amendment except in the case of a substantive motion for the adjournment of the Senate. We should, when we are speaking, we are contributing, our contributions to be relevant to the subject matter. In this case, your contribution is not relevant to the subject matter. I therefore rule out of order. Senator Smaila Dahua, Doctor.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, Mr. President, my colleagues have said all that should be said on this bill. I'm just going to add that I think we are mixing two things here. The NDLEA is saddled with the responsibility of identifying, investigating, and prosecuting offenders of drug and drug-related offenses. What this bill is trying to establish is a response mechanism, a center that people that are bedeviled with that, a center that will help people that have drug-related issues. And I want to assure you, as a medical doctor, that we don't have those centers, even in Abuja, talk less of Kano. So I strongly support that we should have this, even if it's not an institute, a center that will be a rehabilitation, national rehabilitation center for drug and drug-related diseases, because this is a medical issue now, not a police issue. Thank you.
Senator Abule Idia to have 1 minute, then Eze Kenneth, and then we'll round up with a decade. SEN, time is off. We'll call you in subsequent debate. So you have 1 minute each so that I can put the question. 1 minute each, please.
I represent the good people of Lagos West. Mr. President, I do not want us to lose sight of the intent of this bill, which has to do with facilitating rehabilitation of drug users. It is important that we note that, yes, NDLA can deal with the issue of awareness. NGOs are already dealing with that. So many agencies of government at the subnational are dealing with the issue of awareness. But I wish it's important, and which I would like us to please pay attention to, is the rehabilitation center for already drug users. Instead of them being condemned, it should not be out of place for us to give them an opportunity to be rehabilitated and integrated back into the society. It is this that I plead, and I want to advise the mover of this motion to please readdress this bill to look at the last leg of what he has raised in the bill, which is a rehabilitation center for drug users. I so submit, Mr. President.
Thank you, Kenneth Eze, a maker, an engineer of note.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Senator Eze Kenneth Emeka from Ebonyi Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I rise to add my voice to this very important bill. Very important that the issue of drug abuse require emergency attention in this country. This bill is very important because it seeks to establish an institution saddled with the sole responsibility of rehabilitation, creating awareness and treatment. And it is very important to the extent that drug abuse affects every sector of the society. But for the top echelon, it is not well pronounced. But at the downtrodden, It is well pronounced. And these people are helpless. They can't help themselves. This institution seek to help those less privileged ones. Abusers are littered everywhere in the streets and society here and there, and are helpless. They can't afford treatment. They can't afford, even their parent cannot take them to any rehabilitation center. NDLA is already saddled with enormous responsibility of prosecution, prevention, and arrest. That is an enormous responsibility. Let's allow them remain there.
Your
Why
time is
an
off. Thank
institution
you.
like this be established to handle the issue of rehabilitation?
Thank you. Senator Dike Plan, you have half a minute.
President of the Senate, my colleagues, I'm Senator Dike Plan, representing Plateau Central. I would want us to differentiate from the bill presented. Awareness, rehabilitation is more civic compared to what NDLE does. I feel that the purpose of the bill is to preempt, prevent, and protect any other innocent person that might have not gotten into it. And if you look at the exponential rise in drug trafficking, you will know that the job is too much on NDLE, and therefore the formation of this will help to prevent any intending person. I believe that if this bill passes and we end up having an agency like that, we will have composition of even the clergy, teachers, and various professionals in the institute educating, enlightening people, and enlightening people towards the danger of drugs. I feel the bill is proper and it will help to reduce the job of NDLEA by preventing intended people that may have joined. I support the bill, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Former Governor of Ogun State, Otumba Benga Daniel, will have the floor, and then Senator Salu Mustafa will round up the debate. Oh, okay. So we have, sorry, sir, you have half a minute.
Thank you, our Senate President. I'm Otumba Benga Daniel, representing Ogun East. I'll be very brief, but in accepting what I've heard here today, without any doubt, the issue of drug abuse and its consequences is not just a subnational or a national issue. It has international dimensions. There are a few countries who are virtually ruled by warlords, drug warlords. But my own point of dissent appears to fall in line with what Senator Adams Oshiomhole said. In as much as there is indeed a need to do something, how we do it appears to be the issue. And I'm a bit concerned that we continue to recreate various agencies duplicating functions. In my own opinion, Mr. President, I think what we need to do is how to strengthen NDLEA. I, in fact, believe that the NDLEA today is probably one of the few efficient organizations that we have. And we do not have any tradition of encouraging organizations that are doing well. I think what we need to do actually, moving forward, is to see how else we can support NDLEA to carry out what clearly is one of their functions. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, distinguished Senator Otumba Benga Daniel, for complying with the time. Thank you. Senator Salim Mustafa, you have the floor. You round up the debate so that we can put the question.
Your Excellency, the Senate President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Saliu Mustafa, representing Kwara Central. Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues, we've had a very robust debate on what I think is a very disturbing situation in each and every constituency. In rounding up or summarizing this debate, I would like to lend my voice to the argument that we must be very practical and take the issue of drug abuse very seriously in our constituencies, because we are all suffering the dangers of this aftermath or the abuse and the misbehavior of most of our youths. My own contribution will be in the areas of awareness. We have institutions, we have laws, we have agencies who are saddled with apprehending either drug pushers or drug peddlers or those who even engage in the abuse of these substances. But in the areas of awareness is where we are lacking. I would like us to avert our mind to a situation whereby awareness of drug abuse should even be taken down to the elementary stage of our institutions, so that those who unknowingly get involved in this habit can be educated, can be enlightened before it's too late. In our schools, especially the secondary schools, it has gotten so bad now that those days when you hear people who abuse substances, you think they are only in the higher institutions. But now it has gotten to the level of secondary school. You find them sometimes patronizing the pharmaceutical shops to buy what they call Benelin with codeine. The pharmaceutical shops sometimes sell these things to them in the pretense that they are selling them medication for cough-related sickness, but rather they are abusing this.
You have 1 second remaining.
Okay, sir. Well, bottom line is I'm just encouraging that with the good intent of this bill, we should further look at the awareness side of it so that we can encourage awareness and rehabilitation in schools, and they should start using it possibly as a subject whereby it will be either an extra curriculum subject for schools to be able to teach the pupils on the dangers of drug abuse. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you. I can see Senator Suleiman Sadiq has been vehement in trying to speak, and I think he's a pharmacist. Probably he wants to give the view of his profession in respect to this bill. You are the last to speak, then we put the question. And you have just 30 seconds.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I am Sadiq Suleiman Umar. I represent Kwara North in the Senate of the Federal Republic. Mr. Chairman, I've listened to everybody, and the concerns raised are genuine. Drug is a serious problem, but the issue here is, what's the best framework, what's the best institutional approach to solving this problem? It's not by creating new agency. We have an NDLEA. Just yesterday, I was in a conversation with the chairman. It is how to make sure you strengthen NDLEA, because it's part of his mandate. It's lack of funding. NDLEA is not well funded. We're already talking. I'm the vice chairman of drugs and narcotics, and we are seeing how can we make sure we empower NDLEA to do this job right. That's what is required. But I mean, we are lawmakers. Sentiments will not solve our problem. What we are expressing, we are worried. Yes, it's true, but let's approach it institutionally and make sure that we get the job done properly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Joel, my good friend. I can't help it because you see.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, I didn't give you the chance to speak, but okay, 20 seconds. 20. Okay. Just round of 20 seconds.
Okay, sir. Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. For this bill that is for second reading, I want to say that except this bill wants to be passed for academic purposes, it will not serve the purpose for which it is intended. Number one, the bill is seeking to establish a national institute for drug awareness and rehabilitation. It simply means that creating awareness and rehabilitation is the major object of this bill, among others. Therefore, I think that having one institute is not going to be the solution for the problem we have right now. We already have institutes across the country if it's to create awareness. That's an easier, faster way to create that awareness. That's number one. Number two, this country, we have a population of in excess of at least 250 million. One institute will not be able to solve the problem of awareness across. Then the third reason is that the people that this institute is seeking to admit on this matter is in every nook and cranny of the country.
Joel, you have 1 second remaining.
So I want to say that this bill, if passed, will not serve the purpose for which it is intended. We should look for other means of creating awareness and rehabilitating drug people. And NDLA is there, national orientation is there, and I think that is the only way to go, not by creating an additional institute, by creating more proliferation of institutes.
Thank you very much. Senator Dixon, I want to refer to your contribution. You spoke very well. In fact, everybody spoke very well. Everybody spoke very well. Those for are those against. And you went in between. You went in between. You are neither here nor there. And Senator Ningi also alluded to the fact, the practice here, that always allow bills to go to the next stage so that it can further scrutinize and people are allowed to ventilate their views. And then, because we're all doing this on behalf of the people, we understand your concerns, particularly the standpoint of Senator Oshomole, who's an ardent believer of the importance of Orosaya report. He always, go in line with that anytime we have debate of on establishment of agencies, new agencies. But we also have to look at our tradition here to allow bills to move further so that they can be further studied. And the point, the approval belongs to you. You are the one to decide. Nobody will tell you to do what you don't want to do. But the fact remains that we have a practice here to always allow bills to go further, to allow for proper scrutiny. And whenever we feel, by the time the report is brought by the relevant committee here, and we feel that we are not convinced, we can throw it away at that point. But that's the practice. So I'll now put the question so that we can have your view, your approval or otherwise for the further processing of this bill. But I want to refer to you the views of Senator Dixon. He talked very well about it. Also, Senator Ningi addressed the same, went through the same direction. So let me put the question. Those in favor that this bill be read the second time, please say aye. Those against say nay. Now, I didn't hear very well. Let me put the question again. Let's put the question again. And then I can see several in line with the Dixon's stance. Please, those in favor that this bill be read the second time, please say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So thank you. Before we, the clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish National Institute for Drug Awareness and Rehabilitation to coordinate efforts in promoting drug awareness, preventing substance abuse, and facilitating rehabilitation of drug users, and for related matters 2024. Second reading.
A bill for an act to establish the National Institute for Drug Awareness and Rehabilitation to coordinate efforts in promoting drug awareness, preventing substance abuse, and facilitating rehabilitation of drug users, and for related matters 2024 second reading taken. Let me commend all the senators, I did everyone that contributed to this debate. It shows the passion, your passion to deal with this matter. Everybody spoke very well within your heart to make sure this national calamity is brought to an end, or eradicated or substantially reduced, because it's something that is really into the fabrics of our youth, fabrics of our society. And the NDLA, I must say, has been doing very well since the takeover or the leadership of the current chairman is brought into that organization, that agency. The agency has been doing very well. We need to commend them for that, because once someone is doing well as a leader, as a chairman, he needs to be commended so that he can do more. To now say they are not doing well, I think, is not the correct narrative about how NDL is being run as we speak. So we should continue to explore ways to deal with this national calamity. So I commend everybody that spoke, and I thank all of you. The Senate leader. The bill is referred to the Committee on Drugs and Narcotics, and to report back within 4 weeks. The leader of Senate.
Mr. Senate President, the second order of the day is second reading of the Ala-Igbo Federal University of Education, Owerri, Establishment Bill 2024 SB 146. The distinguished senator will record that the bill was read for the first time in this chamber on Thursday, 5th October 2023. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Onyewuchi Ezenwa Francis to move the motion for the bill to be read the second.
Senator Ezenwa, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleagues. My name is Ezenwa Onyewuchi, and I represent Imo East Senatorial District of Imo State. Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on this very important bill titled...
Senator Francis.
Yes, please.
You know this institution,
yes,
is established and has been upgraded to a university.
Yes.
What is lacking is the legal instrument.
That's exactly what we're doing.
Exactly. So just summarize it. You know,
Okay.
you know the game. You know the game. You've been here for a while. Summarize it. I
Yes.
can move forward. There's no much debate on this. Just to legalize it. And thank you for bringing it up. Just so, but you don't need
Thank
to
you.
summarize it.
Okay, I will do so, Mr. President. This bill seeks to provide a legal and institutional framework for the recent upgrade of former Alvanikoku College of Education to Alvanikoku Federal University of Education. Over the years, there has been a sustained clamor for the upgrade of Alvanikoku Federal College of Education to a full-fledged degree awarding institution. This became a reality on the 20th of October when President Ahmed Bola Tinubu graciously announced the upgrade to a federal university of education. The upgrade will no doubt enhance its academic status and opportunities. It further enables the institution to offer a wider range of degrees and advanced education programs, which can attract a broader spectrum of academic talent and student enrollment. The university will go a long way in identifying the educational needs of the society with a view to finding solutions to them. Ala-Igbo Federal University of Education as a full-fledged university will enhance expertise and specialization as well as ensuring quality teacher education in the country. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is very pertinent to note that there is little or no financial burden on the part of government with regards to the upgrade because the institution, since inception in 1963, already has in existence modern and well-built structures, large classrooms, equipped and functional laboratories, renovated hostels, and expanded staff strength. The institution is therefore prepared and ready to optimally function as a full-fledged university. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the importance of this enabling act for the Ala-Igbo Federal University of Education has no doubt been explicitly espoused. I therefore urge my distinguished colleagues to support this establishment bill. Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues.
You see, as I said, there's no need to debate this bill. This institution was formerly College of Education. Then during the administration of Jonathan, he upgraded it to a university. But when Buhari came, he changed that approval. And I was the one who even sponsored the bill to revert it to College of Education, Federal University of Education. And not only that, together with not only this university, but included with other four, I sponsored the bill myself. Now the president, because of his love for education, decided to revert it to Federal University of Education. That has been done by Mr. President. We need to commend him for that. So what our brother wants to do now is to bring a bill, right, to give it illegal backing. It's very straightforward. Already it has been established. So I think there's no need to debate. It should just pass through so that it go to the next stage. Already it has been established, right? So those in favor that this bill be read second time, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish Ala-Igbo Federal University of Education, Owerri, to provide for the administration and management of the university and for other related matters 2024. Second reading.
A bill for an act to establish Ala-Igbo Federal University of Education, Owerri, to provide for the administration and management of the university and for other related matters 2024, second reading taken. The bill is referred to the Committee on Tertiary Institution and Third Fund and dropped back within 4 weeks. Senator Onyewuchi Ezenwa, I commend you for what you've done. The absence of this kind of initiative was what made the former president to cancel that approval by former President Jonathan. So what you've done now, you've done the needful so as to concretize the establishment of the university by Mr. President. And Mr. President has to be commended. He has done a wonderful job. There's nothing that we did not do to actualize the upgrading of this college of education, but we're not successful. In fact, I was the one because I tried to circumvent the refusal of the president then to allow that to happen. And that's how we began. The idea came to me that we could bring bills to establish university. I brought that. All these bills that have been, you see, flying around, people bringing bills to establish university. It wasn't the practice before in the Senate. It was because of this that I thought that Mr. President doesn't want to do it. Let's follow this route. And now that has changed the entire narrative. Several institutions have been created, has been established through initiatives brought to the National Assembly by senators and members of representatives. So thank you very much for what you've done. The leader of the Senate.
Mr. Senate President, the third order of the day, the second reading of the Nigerian Coast Guard Bill 2024 SB 575. The single senator will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Thursday, 3rd October 2024. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Eshiloku Sonny Wasiu to move the motion for the bill to be read second time.
Thank you, Leader. Senator Eshiloku Sani Wasiu, you have the floor. The floor is led to you to move the motion that your bill be read second time. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Wasiu Olatunji Sonny Eshinlokun, representing Lagos Central. I rise to move that a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Coast Guard with the purpose of securing the maritime zones of Nigeria, aiming to protect the maritime and other national interests within these zones, subject to the jurisdiction of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and to maintain a state of readiness to function as a specialized service in the Navy in times of war and other related purposes. Be read the second time, sir. Having said that, I will be delighted if you allow me to lead debate in this on this bill. Sir, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I humbly rise to lead the debate on the general principles of the Nigerian Coast Guard Establishment Bill 2024 SB 575. The bill expressly seeks to establish the Nigerian Coast Guard to be charged with the responsibility of securing maritime zones within the jurisdiction of the Federal Republic and to maintain a state of readiness as a specialized service in support of the Nigerian Navy in war situation. The bill was first read the first time on Thursday, 3rd October 2024. Suffice to say that Nigerian Coast Guard will be a complementary service to the Nigerian Navy.
Senator Eshiloku, it appears as if someone brought this kind of this bill before the Senate. Same Coast Guard.
Not in this not in this Senate, sir.
Okay, we'll find out. Continue.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Asking so that we can consolidate the two.
No, it's only the only one that has been at this 10th Senate, sir. So basically, there is no marine and blue economy without Coast Guard. Suffice also to say that all the countries with the best navy, they have Coast Guards. Nigerian, US, there is US Coast Guard. There is UK Coast Guard. There is France Coast Guard. There is German Federal Coast Guard. The main function is to protect our ocean and offshore wealth, including fish and minerals, to assist mariners in distress and safeguard lives and property at sea, to also safeguard the life of fund seekers, to enforce also the maritime laws, the law, the SPOMO Act, and others with respect to the sea, poaching, smuggling, etc. The overall intent of the bill, among other things, is to enact a legislation that seeks to contribute to the security of Nigeria with special focus on the country's maritime interests, regional coastal security, and adherence to global norms and standards as they relate to maritime security. Accordingly, the objective of the bill are: A, provide assistance in the enforcement of all relevant law within the maritime zones in the jurisdiction of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. B, administer and enforce regulation for the preservation of lives and property within the maritime zones of Nigeria. C,
ensures safety within the maritime zone of Nigeria through establishment, management, and coordination of safety measures for maritime navigation and rescue operations. D. Assist Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency and other relevant authorities in anti-smuggling operations, maritime security, and training of seafarers. E. Engage in oceanography research of the high sea and in waters unless under the jurisdiction of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. F. Engage in maritime surveillance and interdiction in the enforcement of the maritime law. And G. Take measures that seek to preserve and protect the maritime environment to prevent marine pollution and other unwholesome practices which pose a huge risk to both human and marine lives, etc. Furthermore, the contemplation of this bill is in recognition of the fact that Nigeria has an expansive maritime domain which encompasses vast coastline, territorial waters, and exclusive economic zones and abundant maritime resources. So you also should note that the economic zones of Nigeria has now been increased by 16,000 kilometers by United Nations. So there is a huge job for this Coast Guard to do. As such, it is imperative to have all-encompassing, well-coordinated, and multidimensional approach as part of a deliberate measure aimed at securing the country's maritime environment. This is necessary to mitigate myriad of challenges ranging from piracy, illegal fishing, smuggling, oil theft, which must be nipped in the bud. Hence, the need to enact the proposed legislation to add to the nation's security mix in a bid to secure the maritime zone. Suffice to say that we continually try to increase the security mix even on the land. With the establishment of Nigerian Army, we have Nigerian police, we are even proposing state police. We are not even forgetting the establishment of community policing right now. So on the sea, same need to be done. Mr. President, dear colleagues, the bill is circumspect, structured into 7 parts, with each part dealing with specific issues relating to the subject matter. The part are substructured into 54 clauses, carefully drafted and in line with normative legislative standards. One of the provision is there is Coast Guard relation with the Nigerian Navy. Suffice to say, in times of war, Nigerian Coast Guard becomes part of the Navy. The assets of the Nigerian Coast Guard is to be used by the Nigerian Navy. In conclusion, it is important to state that the introduction of this proposed legislation at this point in time is apt and strategic, as the current administration, in line with its developmental agenda, is expanding all economic scope and space for maximum national benefit. In this regard, the maritime environment offers a deluge of opportunities which can be explored to contribute to the diversification policy of the federal government. Hence the need to put all modalities in place to secure this viable sector of our economy. Finally, in line with Order 76.3, the Senate Order 2023 has amended a compendium of financial implication of the establishment of the Coast Guard is hereby attached. On this note, I urge you all, my distinguished colleagues, to support the second reading of this bill because of its far-reaching importance to the national economic development. The Coast Guard is hereby commend to distinguished colleagues and Mr. President. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Senator Sani Musa. You have the floor. Then Senator, the former leader, and Senator Ningi, and then we'll continue. So you have the floor. Just 2 minutes.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Muhammad Sani Musa, representing Niger East Senatorial District. I stand to second this bill and also to make some comments because what we are facing today in Nigeria is a serious issue that has to do with insecurity. And most of the arms that are coming into this country, illegal arms that are being imported into this country, they always come through the sea. So creating a Coast Guard, I think, is an initiative that, if it is done, will complement what the Navy and other security agencies are doing in our offshore and sea border entrances to this country. If you look at Coast Guard in America today, most of the formations they have in other countries, especially within the Atlantic or the seas, you will see that it's not the Marine, the real Marine that are there, just like the Navy. You will see most of them are the Coast Guards. So if we have Coast Guards within the Gulf of Guinea, it will complement what Nigeria needs in order to checkmate what is happening, especially about the piracy within the Gulf of Guinea. So creating Coast Guard is very important. It's something that we should all support. It will help us in also making our country stronger within the sub-Saharan Africa. Because if we do this and we solidified it, then there will be no need for any other country to think of bringing a base within our country waterways. So I support the creation of Coast Guards. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Leaders that have called you, but already have said, former leader Nigi will speak. Thereafter, you will speak.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I don't have any objection in principle to this bill. But my own plea is for us to look at the institutional dimension of what we are trying to do now. I have the privilege of having been the chairman of a committee that was established in the Ninth Senate to look into the possible revival of Nigerian naval ship NNS Arab, where because of that engagement, I was in constant communication and interaction with the Nigerian Navy. Now, we have to be very circumspect about what we are trying to do now, given the situation that is on the ground. Most of the countries that you are talking about who have coast guards and also a navy, they have ocean-going naval institutions. A functioning navy that goes to the oceans and goes to the blue seas. Now, that navy, like the one in the United States and the one in Britain and several other developed countries, is a functional maritime defense and offensive, has functional maritime defensive and offensive capabilities. The Coast Guard is to guard what essentially this bill is supposed to do. Now, the Nigerian Navy currently, and I stand to be corrected by the chairman of the Navy, the Civil Senator Otumba Daniel, is currently doing the work of the Coast Guard because it doesn't have ocean-going vessels or ocean-going offensive and defensive capabilities. The attempt by the last administration to revive and re-equip the NNS Aradu, which was the only ocean-going vessels that we have with defensive and offensive capabilities in the high seas, was somehow thwarted by the same Navy, even though the former president approved that that ship should be re-equipped and repurposed, for those kinds of capabilities, on the basis of which more capability will be added to the Navy, to participate in international naval patrols and other matters of that concern, so that we can create now a Coast Guard, to guard all the security and other issues that this particular bill is addressing. Now, the challenge we have is that if you create a Coast Guard now, what will the Navy that you have now, which is doing the work of the Coast Guard, be doing without upgrading it to assume higher international maritime responsibilities? Now, these are issues that I think we should get at the back of our mind before we even see that. It's good to have a Coast Guard, but what I'm saying is that the Nigerian Navy does not have maritime capabilities beyond doing Coast Guard duties, and that's what it's doing now.
Yeah.
So if you add another institution,
thank you, Senator Abdul-Ningi, you have 2 minutes.
Mr. President, my name is Senator Abdul-Ningi, and I do represent Bauchi Central. Mr. President, this bill is extremely important. It is important that we recognize this government intention of creating a blue economy. This blue economy will become a mirage at the end of the day if it is not backed by a Coast Guard like this one. Mr. President.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, there will be a possibility of Navy saying that there is an encroachment. And that is why in legislative business, there are processes. By the time this bill goes into second reading, Navy will be invited. The possibility of creating a Coast Guard are there. It is there. And then there will be limitations to what Coast Guard will do and what the Navy is doing. And I listened to Senator Yahya very well, and I understand the sentiments that the Navy may not likely appreciate what you are trying to do. This nation, the destiny of this nation, supersedes an institution. We cannot live in the past and begin to think will make a difference. Sir, the United States have the strongest Navy in the world. They have Coast Guard. India, one of the strongest Navy in the world. They have Coast Guard. Australia, one of the strongest and the most versatile marine in the world. They have Coast Guard. What the committee needs to do by the time this thing is taken to a second reading is to study those countries and the possibility of getting them to a standard so that there will be no encroachment.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, we have one of the best marine on the continent of Africa, over 3,500 square meters. Yet, over 63 years, 64 now to our independence, one of the challenging economic prospects is our inability to control the Coast Guard, to control the marine. One of the problems of this country is our inability to stop oil theft and so on and so forth. I am very positive.
Thank you.
Once this bill gets into the corridor,
thank you,
and the government is serious about it, those things will be a thing of the past.
Thank you. Please, let's restrict our time 2 minutes so that others will speak.
They took my 1.5 minutes.
No, you spoke for 5 minutes.
Thank you, sir.
So, the Deputy Chief Whip, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Senator Peter Nweboy North. I rise to support this all-important bill on two solid but concise points. One, if Coast Guard is established, it's going to add to the security outfit, particularly in our waterways. Two, Coast Guard, if established, will provide jobs for our teeming unemployed youths. In view of the aforesaid,
you are inviting Adam Oshomole to speak now.
in view of the aforesaid, I urge all our
On that point.
to back this bill. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for being very, very brief. Senator Yunus, you have the floor.
Mr. President, my name remains Yunus Akitunde. I represent Oyo Central. I want to lend my voice on the need for the establishment of this Nigeria Coast Guard. As a member of the committee and one that has participated in the oversight function to some of the agencies like NEMASA and NEWA, one will realize that each time you are there, they will tell you that one of the challenges they are facing is the lack of the Coast Guard being established in the country. They gave us instances that when they buy aircraft, who manages it? They give it to Nigerian Air Force. If NEMASA or NEWA buy speedboat today, they have to give it to Navy. Navy, by their function, is for national defense, where the safeguard is for maritime law enforcement and public safety. They are two different things. So I want to support the bill, and I want to plead with my colleagues that we allow the bill to go for second reading.
Thank you, Senator Akinde, for keeping to the time. Thank you very much. We'll now move towards here, Dr. Vito Ome, then Senator Ereti Kingibe.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name remains Senator Victor Ume, OFR. I represent Anambra Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I rise to support the establishment of the Coast Guard because if you look at what we have today, people have spoken about the Navy, forgetting that we have water police of the Nigerian police force. We have customs trying to foray into arresting smugglers.
You are using those terminology that it was used during the post-colonial era. Water police, marine police.
Marine police, that's water police, whatever you call it, marine police. They are all working on the coastal waters of Nigeria. But I think what we have had is non-proper separation and delineation of duties. Coast Guard, by the name, tells you what they do. They are the people in charge of the coastal waterways, so that even smugglers, the first people that will apprehend smugglers will be the coastal guards. Anything that is happening along our coastal waterways, the guard will be on duty. If they apprehend anybody, they hand it over to the relevant agency that will deal with it. I was discussing with one ambassador for trade and investment of Nigeria last week in Canada. And he told me a pathetic story where, due to our bilateral agreement, war ships from European countries and other places can sail to our water ways and come and anchor or in the sea for some time before they go back. One ship came, one warship came from one European country and ordered a vessel, maybe a fishing vessel with about 11 occupants. The commander of the ship ordered that vessel to stop. And after some time, they sank the ship, the vessel. 5 people died, they apprehended 6 people and took them into their vessel and took them to their home country and wrote Federal Minister of Foreign Affairs to come and carry the dead bodies of the people they had put in the vessel. Mr. President, I think it's a very huge embarrassment that a foreign warship will come to our waterways, sink a vessel in a fishing community, only by the claim that they ordered them to stop, and they refused to stop. And they fired them, killed 5 people, took 6 people away.
it became a very diplomatic problem.
Thank you for the insight. The time is off.
So
Wonderful insight.
we need our coastal guard. Let their duties be properly defined
Thank
so
you.
that custom, navy, everybody will do its own work as assigned to it by the acts established.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Senator Ireti Kingibe, you have the floor.
My name is Senator Ireti Kingibe. I represent the Federal Capital Territory. I rise to support this bill because we cannot have a viable maritime economy without having a Coast Guard. Coast Guard, their work is different. They monitor our waterways as well as merrymakers, people in boats who get into trouble. We don't expect a naval ship to go and rescue them. Annually, we lose 35 billion to illegal fishing. That can be stopped with Coast Guards. There's so much we need in terms of our maritime that can be enhanced with the Coast Guards. And based on that, I do support this bill wholeheartedly.
Thank you, Senator Ireti, by going with the time. Wonderful, wonderful contribution. I now have to move to this side. Senator Salim Mustafa, you have the floor. Senator Ireti, you can off your mic, please. Could you please off your mic? So, I know Ireti is someone that's close to you, so please do the way she did by going.
Your Excellency, the Senate President, distinguished colleagues, once again, my name is Senator Saliu Mustafa, representing Kwara Central. I rise to lend my voice to this bill that we need to create our own National Coast Guard. And from the name, from the definition, we all agree the purpose of a Coast Guard and the works and responsibility of a Navy. Like Senator Ireti just alluded, the Coast Guard, not only will they protect the coastal region, but they are also there for intervention. You don't expect the Nigerian Navy to come and start doing search and rescue missions. The work of a search and rescue mission is one of the primary assignments of a Coast Guard. And they are more civil than the Nigerian Navy, who will be within the communities equally. So I rise to support this bill, seeking that we establish the National Coast Guard so as to look at some of these pending issues that we face on our waterways. Thank you very much.
Senator Salim Mustafa, you've done it well. That's fine. Now I will give the floor to Senator Adam Oshomole. I can predict what's going to come from him, and then Senator Benga Daniel will give an insight, naval insight to this proposal, and then the Chief Emeritus will round up and get the whole thing over so that I can put the question. I know, Senator Adam, you have the floor.
Mr. President, thank you very much. But I'm a bit worried that you can predict me so well. And I don't have a particular habit, but I try to be objective. Bear in mind the fact that it is not most of the time whether some of the problems we seek to cure, whether they exist and whether we need to cure them. The issue for me is how best to get it done. I don't think in this Senate there's any one of us who will object to anything that can be done to protect our maritime industry, blue economy, red economy, whatever. My first point, Mr. President, is that things that have to do with national security, I will be much safer if they were to come by way of executive bills. Why? Because the president is the one who have the opportunity and the responsibility to hear and coordinate the work of the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the police, and other security institutions. as well as the Office of the National Security Advisor. I find courage with the very enlightened comments of Senator Yahaya, former leader of this House, who shared with us his own experiences. I think that the issue is not whether we need to protect our coastal waters. And I'm not carried away when we borrow, often out of context, what is going on in other countries without tracing the history of what gave birth to those institutions in those countries. Right now, I did have the opportunity to hear what the chairman of the Navy Committee will say. I believe the Nigerian Navy can do with enhanced capacity.
Excellency, my former chairman, you have 1 minute remaining.
Yes, sir, but the Navy spoke for 5 minutes. I think you have obligation to be fair to all senators on this occasion, regardless of ranking. Abi, you can't have 5 minutes, you announce it, so at least give me 4.5 minutes. Because my own argument is to the contrary. So I understand the general trend, but I want to be on record that I do not think at this point, in this manner, I emphasize in this manner because I believe if this need really exists, it should benefit from the intelligence information that the executive may have. On the basis of those informations, they will decide whether there is a gap that can be filled by a coastal guide. As it is today, if we are not careful, we are going to have a lot of competition instead of institutions complementing each other. That has been the problem that gave rise to, for example, sir, just 2 minutes, I will round up. This is how we created the National Road Safety Commission with a huge overhead. When I was growing up, that job was being done by the traffic division of the Nigeria Police. And they were more efficient than it is today. Those of us who travel on the road, I don't know if you have found the Road Safety Commission be helpful. They were created. That is how we created the Nigerian Civil Defense to protect pipelines, government properties. And I don't know now whether the government properties are safer or not. And each time we think that if we have a problem, we have to create an institution on our own. As
Sorry,
Parliament, I think.
I'm constrained. I have to draw your attention to Order 52A. The
Yes, sir.
senator must confine his observations to the subject under discussion and may not introduce matter irrelevant therefor. We're talking about Coast Guard. So the issue of rail safety, the issue of this shouldn't come up. I'm constrained. I have to rule out of that on that. Continue, my former chairman. I'm
All right,
sorry.
thank you. You have the sole monopoly to interpret the rules. But I will say that in making a debate of creating institutions, it is not out of the subject matter to make reference to similar institutions that have been created, which in the end added no value. That is why I laid that foundation.
Thank you.
Let me round up by saying that I plead with my colleague that issues like this should be referred to the National Security Advisor. It should be referred to the executive. They alone can tell us whether or not additional institution is required. For now, I believe our mandate should be to try to strengthen the Navy, get them to properly refocus.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So that they can do their job more efficiently, rather than creating a coastal guide that will just be another institution leading to endless competition and all of the things that arise from duplication.
Thank you. I will use the floor to Senator Karimi, Senator Nduse, and then, of course, we'll have to listen to the chairman, Committee on Navy, to give his own insight to it. Well, I have forgotten the Chief Whip Emeritus. So, but we now have one minute. Okay. One minute, please.
Thank you, Mr.
We allowed our former national chairman to have his way because he's our elder. There's nothing we can do about that. But let's abide by 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Karimi Sunday Steve. I represent Kogi West. Mr. President, the need for the Coast Guard cannot be overemphasized.
the MPA has a responsibility on our waterways, and they ask for this. So if we say the executive doesn't, they are the one representing the executive in the first place, and they ask for this bill. So the executive has hand in it. And we've seen even kidnapping through the waterways in Lagos now. Many. And if you look at the way terrorism is going on all over the world, piracy on the waterway, if anybody is saying that we don't have a need of this, then we are not preparing well for eventualities. So it is something that is urgently needed, and we all have to support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Karimi, for your wonderful contribution. Senator Mohammed Nduzi Muntari. Nduzi. Okay. Chief Whip Emeritus. Oh, your point has been said by someone else? No need? Senator Austin. Then after you, Senator Benga will, Daniel will round up.
Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Austin Akobund, representing Abia Central Senatorial District. I would like to comment on this bill by stating the following. One, the Navy is currently collaborating with NIMASA. They have a joint project where Navy has effectively deployed all its assets, and it's been so effective. I also want to draw our attention to that project, which is named Deep Blue Project. And most of the propositions, as elegant as they may be, contained in this bill, are already currently being carried out by this joint initiative between the Navy and NIMASA. So I align myself partly with what Senator Oshomole said, that we must be mindful of duplication, mindful of cost, and also explore avenues so far created and see how effective this joint initiative has been, and to study it and see how we can add impetus to what is going on currently.
Thank you, thank you. Senator Oshomole, you have converted so many people on this floor. You have made a lot of conversion. Senator Benga Daniel, let's have your insight as to what you feel about it. I hope you are, well, let's listen to you. Let's see what you want to say.
Thank you very much, our Senate President. Once again, I'm Otumba Benga Daniel, incidentally the chairman of Navy. I want to start by appreciating the initiator of this bill, and also appreciate all the people who have spoken passionately based on their conviction and the amount of information that is available to them. However, I want to plead, as a few people have also opined, the matters of security.
Let's listen to the chairman of the Commission Navy very well, please. Can we listen to you in silence, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. Matters of security are matters that we need to be extremely careful about. People who are members of the Navy committee here had opportunity to visit the Navy headquarters recently. And I have to confess to you, the amount of technology and sophistication that is deployed is something that's unprecedented. We went through an installation called the Falcon Eye. And from the naval headquarters here, I can assure you that if something goes wrong in any area of our naval formation, instantly it is picked. We witnessed this firsthand. I'm also not unaware that, for instance, in the last 2 weeks, the Navy surveillance have seized several vehicles. I knew this because a number of people, knowing that I'm chairman of Navy, will come to me to appeal to the naval authorities to release their vehicles. And going into what happened, I am convinced that what we require to do, once again, is not proliferation. What we need to work out is to look at how we can improve technology There are several kilometers of naval water which the Navy is looking at. It is impossible for it to be done manually. There isn't anything I think the Naval Coast Guard can do that cannot be done technologically. And it is therefore my submission. Maybe if we have opportunity for a public hearing, we will also invite in a closed circle for a few stakeholders who have information to come and tell us what is going on here. With due respect, Mr. President, sir, we need to be extremely very careful on matters that has to do with national security. It's a lot more that we are seeing. And sometimes, I beg to say, the more you look, the less you see.
Thank you, Senator Wenga. Daniel, you object to it, but you still agree that it should go to the next stage so that it can be fully looked at, so that stakeholders can ventilate their views. To this end, can I now put the question? Those in favor that this bill be read the second time, please say aye. Those against say nay. Ah. The ayes have it. Well, let me thank the sponsor. Okay, well, first, sorry, the clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for now to establish Nigerian Coast Guard with the purpose of securing the maritime zones of Nigeria, aiming to protect the maritime and other national interests within these zones, subject to the jurisdiction of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and to maintain a state of readiness to function as a specialized service in the Navy in times of war and for other related purposes, 2024. Second reading.
A bill for an act to establish Nigerian Coast Guard with the purpose of securing the maritime zones of Nigeria, aiming to protect the maritime and other national interests within these zones, subject to the jurisdiction of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and to maintain the state of readiness to function as a specialized service in the Navy in times of war and for other related purposes, 2024 second reading taken. Let me commend Senator Oshiolekun Sani for bringing forward this bill, for sponsoring this bill. In fact, it was sponsored by someone in the last Senate. That's why I had the confusion that it was brought here before. But you've done well by bringing it forward again. And from the way it was debated, it shows that it's something to look at. It's something that can probably see the light of the day, because a lot of reasons have been adduced in support of the bill. And of course, there are some that are against the bill. But the important thing is to ensure that we protect our country, our territorial integrity, to make sure that our defense is not compromised at the naval side. This is a very good thinking. And, well, when it gets to further stage, the debate will go on. Stakeholders will come in and we'll hear from them. Experts will also come in, we'll hear from them. And the Senate will also still have the chance of looking at the report, which will encapsulate the positions of experts, the positions of stakeholders, and then we'll take the final decision on this bill. So those who are against shouldn't bother, and those who are in favor should keep their hope high until when we are able to factor in the positions of experts and stakeholders. It is this note that I commend everyone that contributed to the debate, and also want to say that the bill is now referred to the Committee on Marine Transport and to report back within 4 weeks. It's going back to Senator Sani still, so it's still going back to you. The bill is still going back to you. You report back within 4 weeks. the Senate leader.
Mr. Senate President, the fourth order of the day are House bills for concurrence as listed in the other paper. Mr. President, for the simple nature of the bill and interchamber reciprocity,
Can't you put them together?
I will present.
Yeah? Put all those together.
I will present a lead debate on the bill.
Go ahead.
Mr. Senate President, I stand to present the lead debate on bills for concurrence from the House of Representatives. On Federal University of Sport, Afuse, Edo State, Establishment Bill 2024, HB 476. 2. Federal College of Nursing and Midwifery, O2 Jeremy, Establishment Bill 2024, HB 221. And Federal College of Nursing, Midwifery and Health Sciences, Isiala, Mbanu, Igbo State. Establishment Bill 2024, HB 173. Federal University of Sport, Abuse, Edo State Establishment Bill 2024, HB 476 was read for the first time on Tuesday, 21st May 2024. This bill establishes the Federal University of Sport, Afuse, Edo State, and makes comprehensive provision for its due management and administration. 2. Federal College of Nursing and Midwifery, O2 Jeremy, Establishment Bill 2024, Bill 221, was read for the first time on Thursday, 6 June 2024. This bill seeks to provide for the establishment of Federal College of Nursing and Midwifery, O2 Jeremy, Delta State. 3. Federal College of Nursing, Midwifery and Health Sciences, Isiala, Mbano, Imo State. Establishment Bill 2024, HB 173, was read for the first time on Thursday, 6 June 2024. This bill seeks to provide for establishment of Federal College of Nursing, Midwifery and Health Sciences, Isiala, Mbano, Imo State. Mr. President, my respected colleagues, these are very straightforward and not controversial, and have gone through necessary legislative process in the House of Representatives. I thereby urge you all to support the second reading of this bill as we refer them to the Committee of Whole for clause-by-clause consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leader. In line with the practice here, bills for concurrence are not usually debated in line with interchamber reciprocity. And besides, these bills are just very straightforward, establishment bills. For that reason, the clerk of the Senate, can you move that? Can you? Okay, first of all, let me put the question. Those in favor that the bills now be ready second time, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, A bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Sports, Abuja, Edo State, to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration and for related matters 2024. Second reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal College of Nursing and Midwifery, Otujeremi, Delta State, and for related matters 2024. Second reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal College of Nursing, Midwifery, and Health Sciences, Isalamba, Imo State, and for related matters 2024. Second reading.
A bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Sports, Afuzi, Edo State, to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration and for related matters 2024, HB 476, second reading taken. A bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal College of Nursing and Midwifery, Utu, Jeremy, Delta State, and for related matters 2024, HB 221, second reading taken. A bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal College of Nursing, Midwifery, and Health Sciences, Isiala Mbano, Imo State, and for related matters 2024, HB 173, second reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, pursuant to Orders 78-3, I move that the bill be now referred to Committee of the Whole for consideration.
The Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleagues, I write to second the motion moved by the leader that they are resolved the Committee of Whole to consider the report.
Those in favor that we refer to the Committee of the Whole to consider the report, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Federal University of Sports, Afuzi, Edo State Enrollment Bill 2024 HB 476. Clauses 1 to 5, those in favor please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. 5 to 10, those in favor that they should stand part of the bill please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. 10 to 15, those in favor that they should stand part of the bill please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. 15 to 20, those in favor that they should stand part of the bill please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. 20 to 25, those in favor that they should stand part of the bill, clauses 20, they should stand part of the bill, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 25 to 32, those in favor that they should stand part of the bill, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The explanatory memorandum, those in favor that they should stand part of the bill, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Federal College of Nursing, Midwifery, O2 Jeremy, Establishment Bill 2024, HB 2021. Those in favor that clauses 1 to 5 stand part of the bill, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 5 to 10. Those in favor that the stand part of the bill, please say aye. Those in against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 11 to 12. Those in favor, 11 and 12. Those in favor that the stand part of the bill, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Federal College of Nursing, Midwifery and Health Sciences, Ala-Igbo, Imo State. Establishment Bill 2024 HB 173. Those in favor that clauses 1 to 7 stand pass of the bill, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clauses 8 to 12 stand pass of the bill, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the plenary memorandum should be part of the bill, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The leader of the Senate.
Mr. Senate President, I stand to move that the bill is now read the third time.
Back to plenary.
I stand to move that we revert back to plenary for Mr. President to report.
The Barrett leader.
Yes, Mr. President, sitting as chair, I'd like to come to motion that the Senate refer back to plenary for the chair to report progress.
Those in favor of the motion moved by the leader that should revert to plenary and second by the leader, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Report. The Senate and the Committee of the Whole consider the Federal University of Sports Afuzi, Edo State, Establishment Bill 2024 and approve as follows. Long title as recommended. Number of clauses 1 to 26 as recommended. Interpretation, clause 27 as recommended. Short title, clause 28 as recommended. Schedules 1 to 3 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. These are a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole. Report. The Senate and the Committee of the Whole consider the Federal College of Nursing and Midwifery O2 Jeremy, Establishment Bill 2024, and approve as follows. Long title as recommended. Number of clauses 1 to 35 as recommended. Interpretation, clause 36. Short title, clause 37 as recommended. Schedule nil. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? The third report. The Senate and the Committee of the Whole considered the Federal College of Education of Nursing, Midwifery, and Health Sciences, Ala-Igbo, Imo State, Establishment Bill 2024. Long title as recommended. Number of clauses 1 to 35 as recommended. Interpretation, clause 36 as recommended. Short title, clause 37 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? The Clerk of the Senate. The Senate leader, sorry.
Mr. Senate President, I stand to move a motion that the bill be now read the third time.
The minority leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I'd like to second the motion that the bill be read the third time. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion moved by the Senate leader, second by the leader, that this bill be read the third time, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for now to establish the Federal University of Sports, Abuja, Edo State, to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration and for related matters 2024, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for now to provide for the establishment of Federal College of Nursing and Midwifery, Otu Jeremy, Delta State, and for related matters 2024, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal College of Nursing, Midwifery and Health Sciences, Issa-Alambano, Imo State, and for related matters 2024, third reading.
A bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Sports, Afuzi, Edo State, to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration, and for related matters 2024, HB 476, third reading taken and passed. A bill for now to provide for the establishment of Federal College of Nursing and Midwifery, Utu Jeremy, Delta State, and for related matters 2024 HB 221, third reading taken and passed. A bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal College of Nursing, Midwifery and Health Sciences, Issa-Alambano, Imo State, and for related matters 2024 HB 173, third reading taken and passed. The leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, having concluded today's proceeding on the other paper, I hereby move that the Senate do adjourn till Wednesday, 16 October 2024 at 11 a.m. prompt. I so move.
The minority leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I like to second the motion as moved by the Senate leader. I so second.
A motion has been moved by the Senate leader for adjournment and seconded by the minority leader. Those in favor of this motion, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate accordingly is adjourned till Wednesday, 16th day of October 2024 at 11 a.m. prompt. Yes, thank you. It's my
Thank you.